It's that time again. Main Man T. Back for the Bro Code Podcast. Produced by Natalie Nakase.
What's good, family? You already know what time it is. It's your boy, Terry Lester, coming at you live and direct with another blazing episode of the Bro Code Podcast, where real ones talk real talk, and we keep it raw, relevant, and ridiculously unfiltered. Today is May 29th, 2025, and trust me, you didn't just pull up to another episode. Nah, you pulled up to a whole movement. And yo, today's special? It's something different, something heavy, something legendary. Because sitting across from me in the co-host seat, we got a certified boss, the media mogul, the visionary behind K.L.P. Entertainment, the one and only Kennedy Lucas in the building.
What's up, y'all? Glad to be in the cut with my guy, Terry. We about to break codes, speak truths, and have a whole lot of fun doing it.
Facts. We're talking everything today. From the real bro code and how it's been holding us down in this wild world, to culture, clout, and how to stay 10 toes down in a time full of trends and cap. Whether you ride in the whip, grind at work, or chillin' with your crew, locking with us. Because we bring in heat, honesty, and hella laughs.
You already know, this ain't just talk, it's game, it's guidance, and it's good vibes only.
Aight, let's get cracking. Welcome to the Bro Code Podcast, where every episode is a vibe and every bro lives by the code. How Julius Randle's dominance and struggles personifies the Wolves' teetering season. In a game the Minnesota Timberwolves desperately needed, Julius Randle played miserably. His 5 points were the fewest he'd ever scored in a playoff game, eclipsing his previous career low of 6, set just 2 games earlier. He'd attempted only 7 shots, making one of them. He had 5 turnovers. But more than that, for much of the game, he was invisible. Sitting in front of his locker after Monday's 128-126 loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder put Minnesota in a 3-1 deficit in the Western Conference Finals, Randle had no answers for why he flatlined in Game 4, since they consistently infused so much life into the Wolves' playoff run. "I don't know, to be honest," Randle said. "I think it was just a lot of me just spectating." What he saw was Minnesota missing its chance to tie up its series with Oklahoma City and apply real pressure to a 68-win Thunder team that dominated the NBA this season. Instead, now the Wolves season is on the brink, and when asked whether the coaching staff could have done more to get him involved, Randle owned his performance. "I'll always take the responsibility for myself," he said. "I've got to figure out first." Randle's difficulties in Game 4 echo some of his struggles throughout his career. At 6'9", he has the quickness and ball distribution skills of a guard, but sometimes he plays out of control at a sturdy 250 pounds. He has the strength to battle in the post, but often lacks the height and length of the centers he's matched up with. His time in the league has coincided with the three-point revolution, and while he has become a capable outside shooter, 33.4% from three, he's not a particularly reliable one. His production and work ethic make it impossible to dismiss him. Yet the questions persist. Can he eliminate his bouts of inconsistency? What's the best way to unlock him as the winner he strives to be? No matter what happens in Game 5 and beyond, it has been a season of discovery for the 30-year-old Randle. The 3-time All-Star has, for the first time, been cast in a supporting role on a team with championship aspirations. This, after whispers had followed him when his last team made more noise in the 2024 postseason, when he was sidelined with a shoulder injury, than they did when he was in uniform. "That was the change and adjustment for me throughout the year," Randle told ESPN. "It was like, all right, how can I play a style of basketball that's going to be beneficial to our team and drive winning when it matters the most?" If there was a single moment to capture the magic of the Timberwolves' 2025 playoff run, it might be a sequence from their Game 3 blowout over the Thunder, when Randle attacked league MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with a left-to-right crossover, then rose up to connect on a jumper that snapped the net and sent the crowd into a tizzy. The shot put the Wolves up by 38 points with 4:25 remaining in the third quarter and forced the Thunder to burn a timeout. OKC, the NBA's #1 seed, was completely out of sorts, looking nothing like the group that went up 2-0 against 6th-seeded Minnesota at Paycom Center to begin the series. As both teams retreated to their respective benches, and the Wolves' faithful howl from the stands, a wide-eyed Randall delivered a message, pointing his fingers at the target center's hardwood court below his feet. "We home now," Randall roared. "We home now." His declaration was directed at Minnesota, shifting the competitive balance of the series with the franchise's first trip to the NBA Finals on the line, as the Wolves went on to win Game 3 by 42 points, after losing the first 2 games by a combined 41. But the additional meaning, whether intended or not, was obvious. He has found an unexpected home after a surprise trade from the New York Knicks brought him to Minneapolis just 2 days before training camp. The Wolves were Randall's 4th team since being drafted with the 7th pick by the Los Angeles Lakers in 2014, when LA was beginning its long rebuild at the tail end of Kobe Bryant's 20-year career. He was reunited this season with Timberwolves coach Chris Finch, who was an assistant with the New Orleans Pelicans on the second stop of Randall's career. He has bonded with Wolves president of basketball operations, Tim Connolly, who Randall reverently refers to as a foodie, sampling the Twin Cities restaurant scene together. He and his wife, Kendra, welcomed their 3rd child daughter, Romy, during this postseason. He had become celebrated as a centerpiece of the Wolves' repeat run to the conference finals. A 30-foot vertical billboard on the corner of N, 1st Avenue and N, 7th Street, above a Donovan's Irish pub, across the street from the arena, depicts him and Anthony Edwards standing together, smiling ear to ear, with the team's Wolves back playoff slogan printed above them. I feel like there's been a bad narrative going around about him. As far as the type of person he is, Edwards told ESPN he's the coolest person. He's one of the coolest people I've ever met. I love Julius, man. Randall finished Game 3 with 24 points on 9 for 15 shooting, going 7 for 11 on contested shots, according to ESPN research, with 3 assists and no turnovers against the Thunder's ball-hawking defense. Edwards finished with 30 points. Accounting for the 8th time this postseason, both he and Randall topped the 20-point plateau in a game, the most by a Wolves duo in a single playoff run. On the other side of the ball, Randall held Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams to 2 for 8 shooting as their primary defender. Then, some 48 hours later, Randall played the worst playoff game of his career. "I think the biggest thing is," Randall told ESPN, "how do you bounce back after adversity? That's always been the theme of my career. How can you bounce back? How can you be better? How can you learn?" The trade that brought Randall to Minnesota and sent star Karl Anthony Towns to the Knicks reminds new Wolves limited partner Alex Rodriguez of a deal nearly 30 years ago, from his days on the Diamond. In the summer of 1998, Rodriguez's Seattle Mariners traded franchise icon Randy Johnson to Houston Astros and received Freddie Garcia, John Halma, and Carlos Guillen in return. The deal was largely panned. Johnson went 10-1 with a 1.28 ERA for the Astros down the stretch, helping Houston to its first 100-win season in team history. Everyone thought, "Oh my God, we just got body slammed." Rodriguez, whose ownership transition with Minnesota is pending a board of governors vote, told ESPN. Same reaction like with K.L.P. Everybody was down on Seattle. In time, Garcia was a 2-time All-Star for Mariners, who finished 3rd in Cy Young Award voting in 2001 and eventually won a World Series with the Chicago White Sox in 2005. Halma, a lefty pitcher, had 3 double-digit win seasons in Seattle. Guillen played 140 games for the 2001 Mariners squad that tied the all-time MLB record for wins in a season with 116. And so it went for the Wolves, too. They started the season 8-10 and were still hovering around .500 after the All-Star break, while Randall was sidelined with groin injury. Before the value of the deal showed for Minnesota, other than the obvious salary cap maneuverability it provided. Towns was signed to an escalating contract that rises from $53.1 million to $57.1 million to $61 million in the next 3 years. Randall has a player option for next season worth $30.9 million. It was not always pretty on the floor. It wasn't always pretty off the floor. Finch said, "We had a lot of frustrations throughout the season, but they all came from a good place. Everyone trying to make it work. And I think Julius' connection with his teammates has gotten better and better." Randall missed 13 games the entire month of February with a strained right adductor in Minnesota, went 5-8 without him, but the absence provided Randle an opportunity, one he hadn't been afforded with the preseason trade. Time. I got to really watch the guys. I got to really see guys up close and personal and really just evaluate. Like, all right, this is how I can help, Randle said. And then I think from there, it was just kind of night and day when I was able to come back. Still, even before the injury, Randle's fit was clunky. On January 17, in his first game at Madison Square Garden against his former team, Randle went just 2-4-6 from the field, but filled out the box score with 7 rebounds and 6 assists. He had a plus-minus of plus 20 in a game Minnesota won by 17. He settled into his role, a source close to Randle told ESPN. He was taking double teams and making the easy pass or finding the swing pass to set up his teammates. 2 games later, however, Randle went 2 for 13, 0 for 7 from 3 in a 2-point road loss to the Memphis Grizzlies, a show of inconsistency that has once again emerged in these conference finals. Finch, however, was forgiving. I had played a terrible game, Randle said, and Finch was like, man, don't sweat it. He was like, just keep chipping away at it. The basis of the conversation when we left it was like, it'll click when it's supposed to. I think that's just life and the process of things. It clicks when it's supposed to. Then Randle returned, and it did. Minnesota finished the season 17-4. Randle averaged 18.4 points on 51.9% shooting, 39.8% from 3, 6.8 rebounds, and 5.2 assists. Those kinds of performances continued for the first month of the postseason. In the Wolves' 5-game upset of the Lakers in the first round, he held his own against LeBron James, averaging 22.6 points on 48.1% shooting, 39.3% from 3, with 5.2 rebounds and 4.4 assists to James' 25.4 points on 48.9% shooting, 35.7% from 3, with 9.0 rebounds and 5.6 assists. In a 5-game second-round win over the Golden State Warriors, he averaged 25.2 points on 53.3% shooting, 29.6% from 3, with 6.6 rebounds and 7.4 assists. On his podcast after the series, Draymond Green said that Randle matched Pascal Siakam in the 2019 finals with the Toronto Raptors as the toughest individual competition he has faced in a playoff round. I lost my matchup, Green said. Julius was incredible. But after a dominant first half of Game 1 against the Thunder, Randle flatlined. Again, after scoring 20 points in the first frame, Randle took just 5 shots in the second, scoring 8 points. Then he went just 1 for 5 in the first half of Game 2 as the Thunder built a 24-point lead in the third quarter. By the fourth, Finch kept Randle on the bench as the Wolves cut the deficit down to 10. Finch spoke to him after the game about the decision, and Randle accepted it. To be able to trust in the coach's decision at that level of stature of player, it's remarkable to see. Dante DiVincenzo, who was traded from New York along with Randle, told ESPN. And it gives us a different perspective. Like, okay, if coach goes away from me, well, Julius didn't pout. Why are you pouting? Less than 2 days later, in the hours before Game 3, it was clear that whatever tension had built had subsided as Finch entered the home locker room. We're talking S. About you over here, Finchy, Randle said as his coach made his way through the doorway. Finch, smiling, quipped back. Most people do. The inherent urgency caused by the Wolves' 3-1 deficit to the Thunder, not to mention Randle's shoddy performances in Games 2 and 4, doesn't exactly invite positive reflection on his postseason. But whenever Minnesota is finished, history will show that Randle, with a performance against Golden State, joined Kevin Garnett as the only players in team history to average 25 points and 7 assists in a playoff series. And in that Warriors series, he became the only player in franchise history with 20 points and 10 assists in consecutive playoff games. Elimination brings disappointment and shallow nuance, and particularly so when the Thunder are, by almost every measure, a better team. But for Randle, it's not that the Thunder are unstoppable. It's that they are unique. They're a team that's different than any of the other great teams, Randle said. They've completely formed a championship caliber team based off of their defense. No. One. But even more so, it's how they play defense. They're not just a defense that bogs you down and stops you from scoring. Their identity is creating points off of turnovers and high pressure, which is different. You don't really see high-pressure defenses in the NBA. You see that more in college and stuff like that. I remember being in college and playing Louisville, and they used the press and trap and all those different types of things. It's a different kind of team, obviously, than I've played in my career. The Thunder have famously been building for years. The Wolves are in year one of a totally revamped roster, still finding the continuity and consistency that often define champions. There's no better example of that search than Randall's Game 2 benching and Game 3 dominance. He just said, "I'll be ready and I'll be better." Edwards said of Randall's approach. And that's leadership, man.
So get this, Terry. In 17 years, the Golden State Valkyries made their own mark in the history books in their very first game on May 16. That's when Natalie Nakase officially became the first Asian American to coach a game in the WNBA. At just goes at 5'1", Nakase is not the prototypical basketball player, or she began her career as a walk-on guard. At UCLA, earning the starting job in her junior year and becoming the team captain. She played professionally in the National Women's Basketball League. But when the league shut down and Nakase failed to make a roster in the WNBA, she went overseas to continue her playing career. She pivoted to coaching after a career-ending knee injury and spent time in Germany and Japan before she returned to the United States to become a video intern for the LA Clippers. She spent a decade in the NBA and was ultimately named an assistant coach for the Clippers. In 2022, Nakase and McCutter's an assistant coach in the WNBA under Becky Hammon, and they led the Las Vegas Axis to the first back-to-back WNBA championships in 21 years. Nakase, named the Valkyries coach in October, is off to a 2-2 start, with her team notching its first victory at home on May 21. Nakase recently sat down with ESPN to talk about her journey to the 9 head coaching job and then the impact her father and other mentors have had in her life. Next on my agenda for the show is about Paige Bueckers returning to a familiar place to get the first win of her WNBA career. It's the note. One pick in the draft by the Dallas Wings had lost her first 4 games as a pro, and couldn't remember a longer losing streak in her storied basketball career. She wouldn't let it get to 5. Bueckers scored a season-best 21 points, and the Wings won 9-87 victory over Connecticut on Tuesday night. Felt great just to play like that as a team, and obviously that environment is special to me, the former UConn star said. To play like that as a team and put a full 40 minutes together. It felt good to be out there. It's been a week of homecomings for Bueckers as she played in the state of Connecticut for the first time since helping the Husky win the school's 12th national championship nearly 2 months ago. 6 days before the game in Connecticut, she played in Minnesota, where she grew up. With the victory, Bueckers remained unbeaten at Mohawk Sonoria, where the Sun played their home games. She went 15-0 at the arena, including winning 4 Big East championships while playing for UConn. I don't think I ever lost there. I was trying to carry that into tonight, Bueckers said. Tuesday night was like a home game for Bueckers, who received a loud ovation from the sellout crowd during player introductions. Many fans were wearing her No. 5 jersey from UConn or Dallas, cheering everything she did. The St. Teresa's basketball team was sitting on the bench pregame and screamed with jubilation when Bueckers ran onto the court. Bueckers gave them and the rest of the crowd, which included a few of her former Huskies teammates, a lot to cheer about. She got Dallas 1-4, go early with 7 points and 4 assists in the opening quarter as she was aggressively attacking for baskets or finding open teammates. She finished the half with 15 points as the Wings took control, going up by 14 points at the break. She just continues to do things that should be surprising, but aren't, Wings coach Chris Coklane said. I take a step back to just appreciate the type of player and even more so the type of person that she is. Today earlier, Bueckers posted on Instagram a video of a surprise meeting that Verizon put together of people who had benefited from a food insecurity project that the Guards started in Minnesota in 2022. As Czech First student athlete brand ambassador, Bueckers worked to raise awareness about student hunger, an issue that had worsened due to the pandemic. It was a total complete surprise just for them to bring in those people who have been a part of my story and been a part of my journey, Becker said. It means so much to give back, to see the impact firsthand. It's truly inspiring. I was extremely grateful for that. Coke Lanes has been impressed with Becker's mental approach to the game on and off the court and how much she invests into it. She wants to really be a great leader and is committing time into developing those skills to help this culture and her teammates as a rookie, he said. So that's been really impressive on the floor. I think you take for granted some of the things she's able to do, but extremely high IQ. She's picked up, concepts and reads very early, and then it's just, she'll adapt to the physicality. Also, Terry, the WNBA announced Tuesday it could not substantiate a report of racist fan behavior at an Indiana-Chicago game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis earlier this month. We have investigated the report of racist fan behavior in the vicinity of the court during the May 17, 2025 Chicago Ski at Indiana Fever game, the league in a statement. Based on information gathered to date, including from relevant fans, team and arena staff, as well as audio and video review of the game, we have not substantiated. The WNBA is committed to fostering a safe and inclusive environment for everyone and will continue to be vigilant in enforcing our fan code of conduct. The WNBA had been investigating what it termed as hateful fan comments that were alleged to have occurred after Indiana's Caitlin Clark fouled Chicago's Angel Reese in the third quarter of the team's season opener. Reese subjected to the foul, which was later upgraded to a flagrant. Both Reese and Indiana's Aliyah Boston were assessed technical fouls after Reese went to confront Clark and Boston stepped in to keep the players separated. Following the game, Reese and Clark, who were meeting for the seventh time in their ongoing and much talked about rivalry, downplayed the incident between them. Basketball play. Reese said, "Ref got it right, move on." Neither team mentioned nor alluded to any fan remarks in the post-game news conferences after Indiana's 93-58 victory, but it became a topic on social media, and the WNBA announced it would investigate it. Players from both teams later said they supported the investigation and the league's efforts to be vigilant about fan behavior. Reese brushed aside questions about the investigation before Tuesday night's game against the Phoenix Mercury, saying she was focused on the game today and more concerned about helping the Sky earn their first win of the season after an 0-3 start. First-year coach Tyler Marsh echoed his star forward's feelings. "We appreciate the investigation being done, and we hope that the league continues to make the steps necessary moving forward to ensure a safe environment for everyone, all players included," Marsh said. But tonight, the focus is on the game. Reese was asked earlier this month if she was able to provide the WNBA with details about the incident, but she did not offer specifics on if she had done so. She also did not reveal what type of comments were made or any other specifics about what prompted the investigation. Both the Fever and Sky issued statements Tuesday thanking the league for its response to allegations. "We appreciate the swift and thorough process undertaken by the WNBA to investigate these allegations," swearing, which were not substantiated. The Fever said in a statement Tuesday at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, "We are committed to providing the best possible basketball experience for players and fans where hate speech has absolutely no place." The Sky said they appreciated the quick action taken by the league and the Fever to investigate the matter. Here's a place to check results and comment along with the newest episode of WWEX, airing live on Tuesday night in the 8 p.m. time slot on CW. Advertised for tonight, it's all fallout from the Battleground event this past weekend with not one but two different title matches. Your race has just begun. Track your course an hour to the Sun Tyrant the Hairway. No turning back because he's on the attack, but me. I'm just here to lib blog this pro wrestling show for you, folks. The show opens with a recap of Battleground from Sunday. The usual montage of talent arriving the arena follows. Brawling before the bell, they settle down, trading side headlocks on the mat in intense struggle. It's back suplex from Paige. Saints hangs in there and wrenches his headlock, and Kip-Up escapes. Big takeover from All Eagle right back into a grounded headlock. Body blows in the corner. Ricky with a fruit kicks out of the corner. Ethan blocks him back, body drops him. Looking for Ego's edge? Saint slips out to the apron and throws Paige to the floor. throws him into the steel steps. He goes to get a chair, but security stops him while some other security checks on Ricky. Ava Raine comes to ringside and tells everybody we need a clear winner here and to take it easy on the rules. Although she stopped short of declaring it no disqualification. Back at it, Saints with repeated kicks to the ribs, and we go to break. Ricky trying to mount a comeback with punches in the corner, but Paige jabs him in the throat and sends him reeling. Right hands, big elbows. Saints hauls off with a huge slap, but Ethan knocks him down with a super kick and pulls him up for a slam. Reverse into a DDT, and both men are down and out, back and forth. Ricky desperately trying to find the second win. Cat from commercial. We get a hype reel for the high rides. Andre Chase warns the new Chase U against being overzealous and getting themselves in over their heads, and they immediately misread him as telling them to take more risks and flag Ava Raine down to ask for a match next week. She says she has a spot open next week, so they'll be wrestling Dark State. They point out there's only 2 of them and 4 of Dark State. But she points out there's 3 of them and says it'll be a trios match. They turn to Chase and say at least they're going to get the team up, and Andre blows up, telling them that they're not a team. Tony D'Angelo confronts Luca Crucifino about him doing nothing at Battleground. Luca swears he was shocked and couldn't move and says he didn't want to reach out and put everyone at risk. Tony says it doesn't smell right. Crucifino says Adriana Rizzo's phone is disconnected and makes excuses. D'Angelo says he doesn't know who to trust, and Luca says he can trust him. And we cut away. Newly minted TNA World Heavyweight Champion Trick Williams is walking backstage to send us to break. Back from commercial, Trick Williams makes his entrance and gets on the mic. He runs down his list of accomplishments and tells people not to clap because they were the same ones waving hands and singing along with Average Joe. And don't you stupid now. He says people like Kurt Angle, Drew McIntyre, Bully Ray, and AJ Styles wore this title with pride, but none of them can compare to Trick Williams, especially not Joe Hendry. He's turning his back on the people because they turned their back on him. He's going back to that, and he's talking to management.
Enter Mike Santana. Williams says he's making a mistake by interrupting his champion. And Santana says he's not his champion, and he's making a mistake coming out here and tearing TNA down first thing. And the last thing he's going to do is sit back and watch him come out and tear the place down after what he and the rest of the TNA locker room have done to build the place. Trick says clearly he doesn't know how things go because he's never been world champion, and says a champion and only the champion calls the shots. Mike says he laughed, but people like him piss him off, and he's a loud and proud Borkua from the Bronx, New York. And he's seen people like Trick come and go. He's a pretender. He's a pretend fighter, a pretend rapper with those high heels and tight pants. And now he's a pretend-ass champion. But Santana is the eyeless and realest he's ever come across. And he's going to be the one to take the TNA World Championship from him. Williams tells him to pop off all he wants because he's going to beat his ass. TNA Director of Authority Santino Marella appears on the Tron. He congratulates Trick and informs him he will be a fighting champion. And next week on NXT, he's going to defend the title against Mike Santana. Santana pops him one and sends him flying out of the ring before grabbing the title belt and holding it up. Ava Raine rolls up on Stephanie Vacker to tell her she needs to find a tag team partner against Chick Tormenta and Dallas. Vacker says she wants to defend her title first, but fortunately Lola Vice slides in and says she'll be her tag partner for LA, and everybody is okay with it, and we go to break. Jada Parker versus Tatum Paxley. Collar and elbow into the corner. Parker breaks with shove, but Paxley turns her around and pie faces her with vigor. Drop down, leapfrog, roll through, victory roll pin for 2. Butterfly suplex, smashing Jada's face into turnbuckles over and over. Parker gets a lung blower in the corner. Shoulder blocks follow. Big overhand slap. Slingshot seated setting in the corner. Kneeling surfboard from Parker. Inverted facelock. Paxley floats over. O'Connor roll for 2. Sidestep a charge. Schoolboy for 2. Single knee face breaker connects. Ends with Gyrie. Charging in. Corner cross body. Off the ropes. Somersault axe kick. Drop kick sends Jada to the floor. Parker throws one of Tatum's dolls in the ring, and she gets distracted. Jada takes advantage. Jada Parker wins by pinfall with a hip attack. Post-match, Thea Hale hits the ring and beats Parker down. Tatum has a friend. Jada runs away. We get a hype reel for Jasper Troy. Troy is shown walking backstage to send us to break. Dante Chun versus Jasper Troy. Troy gets Chun right in the corner with a collar and elbow, around into the ropes. Dante ducks under. Side headlock. Block the shoot-off. Jasper back suplex lifts him clean to the apron and breaks dirty by trying to throw Chun into the post. But he blocks. Dante perching up top. Nobody home. Roll through. Float over. Big back body drop from Troy. Hanging Chen's throat over the top rope. Yelling at him to get up. Stinger splash. Big backbreaker into backbreaker hold. Dante gets a boot up. Charging forearms. Plam strike combinations into an ends with gyri. Off the ropes. He gets caught, but it's a DDT on Jasper. Pump kick connects. Troy freight trains him and scoops him up. Jasper Troy wins by pinfall with a black hole slam. Post-match, Obafemi makes his entrance to call Troy out from the balcony. He says he's very impressed and he's showing Jasper the respect he didn't show last week by refusing to jump in the ring and drop him like a thief. But he hopes he's enjoyed his 5 seconds of fame because now he's got the ruler's attention and his 5 seconds are over. Tavian Heights and Miles Borner are hanging out backstage when Charlie Dempsey rolls up with Ren Sinclair. Dempsey says they both had good showings recently, but they failed, so it's time to refocus. Bourne says he's not going backwards, they bicker, and Miles challenges him to a match where if he wins, Dempsey lets him go. Charlie takes him up on an offer on the condition that it's a rounds match, and they shake on it. And so we go to break. Back from commercial. All ego, Ethan Page is in the ring. He says he's not waiting for his title celebration. He's celebrating right now. Enter Yefon Evans. He congratulates Page and says he can't think of anyone more undeserving to hold the title. Last week, All Ego cost him his match, and so he went to Ava and got himself a title match at Worlds Collide. Page says Evans doesn't deserve a match. They go back and forth, and somehow Javon introduces Laredo Kid. Kid got lost again because he's making his way through the crowd as he introduces himself and says he's coming for the North American Championship. All Ego's not having triple threat either. And Evans says, oh no, he forgot. There's one more person in the match. Rey Fenix. Phoenix says everyone's told him about the spirit of NXT, and Ethan just won the title. But it's a shame he's going to lose it at Worlds Collide in this four-way. He's going to bring the fire, and he's going to burn All Ego up. In Ava's office, Stevie Turner objects to Shawn Legacy being out of the picture after his big win, and Reigns says she wanted to make sure they had NXT, AAA, and main roster talent in the match at Worlds Collide, and Legacy will get his one-on-one shot soon enough. They talk about the four-way to crown an Evolve Women's Championship. Fatal Influence and Stephanie Vacker are shown walking backstage separately to send us to break. Back from commercial, Tatum Paxley is walking backstage when she runs into Sol Ruka and Zarya. Zarya says they hate to see her like that, and they can vouch that the friend you never knew you needed is more important than you could think, and if she needs to talk, they're there. All the while, the culling roll up in the background. JC Jane versus Stephanie Vacker C. NXT Women's Championship. Vacker and high out the gates, hammering punches, near fall, rolling soul butt, whip across, arm drag leg sweep, cover for one. Jane returns a favor. Stephanie with big vicious elbows. Snapmare, devil's kiss countered, and JC grabs a near fall before laying a few kicks for another cover. Dallas and Chick Tormentor run in, Lola Vice neutralizes them, and referees swarm to break it up. Jane gets a deep near fall off a schoolboy. Tiger feint kick connects, and the champ follows it with a springboard elbow for two as we go to break. Back from commercial, JC in control. Vacker floats over, runs into a boot, sling blade connects. Stephanie manages to get some separation, and both women are down and out. Backslide, roll through. Jane lands a knee for a deep two. Nobody home on a cannonball. Vacker hits a dragon screw, and JC bails to the floor. A little big of action down there. Back inside, butterfly inverted codebreaker connects. Fallon Henley runs interference and gets knocked to the floor, and then Jane gets thrown out after her. Fatal Influence bickering. Jasmine Nix try and be the voice of reason, and they both shove her down moments before Stephanie takes them both out with a diving crossbody. Back suplex. La Primera follows it with Devil's Kiss. In the corner, cross armbar in the ropes. Henley breaks it up with a feint kick around the post, and JC lands a rolling elbow. She did it. JC Jane wins by pinfall with a rolling elbow, winning the NXT Women's Championship. We get a lot of shots of stunned fans in the crowd. That's the show, folks. So next we have some sad news, Kennedy. EA has officially canceled Cliffhanger Games' Black Panther title and shut down the studio as part of a recent round of layoffs. The Black Panther video game was first announced back in 2023, though speculation about it began about a year before when EA Motive's Iron Man game was revealed. A new studio, Cliffhanger Games, was set up in Seattle to work on this game, under the leadership of former Monolith Productions Vice President Kevin Stevens. For the past couple of years, the internet has been buzzing with speculation about this Black Panther video game and how it would stand apart from the version featured in Skydance's upcoming Marvel 1943, Rise of Hydra. Unlike that version, which is set in World War II and will follow Azuri, the Black Panther of that era, Cliffhanger's Black Panther would presumably take place in the modern day. Rumors also hinted that players would be able to choose their own character to don the mantle of the feline protector through a branching narrative, and Cliffhanger reportedly sought to integrate authentic African martial arts. Sadly, it seems the Cliffhanger-developed Black Panther game won't be moving forward at EA. IGN recently broke the news that EA has decided to cancel the development of Black Panther in an email sent to staff from EA Entertainment President Laura Mila. Cliffhanger Games is being shut down as well, reportedly as a result of further layoffs at EA. It isn't clear how many employees will be let go at this time, but the number is said to be less than the nearly 300 layoffs across Respawn and EA's fan care teams last month. In the announcement email, Mila said that these layoffs are part of an effort to sharpen EA's focus and put EA's creative energy behind the most significant growth opportunities. She added that, like EA's previous layoffs, these decisions didn't come lightly and that EA is actively working to support the affected employees, including helping them find new jobs at the company. Mila also stated that EA is refocusing its efforts toward a small handful of proven franchises like Battlefield, The Sims, Skate, and Apex Legends. That being said, she reassured that EA will continue to support EA Motive's Iron Man game, Respawn's third Star Wars Jedi title, and BioWare's next Mass Effect game. However, Cliffhanger Games is no more, and its would-be Black Panther game now joins Monolith's Wonder Woman as a promising superhero game that fans will unfortunately never get to play.
Hey folks, so I'm filling in for Kennedy for the remaining episode. Many players excitedly waiting for the now-delayed Grand Theft Auto 6 are also highly anticipating Mind's Eye, an upcoming action-adventure game from developer Build a Rocket Boy. Mind's Eye's players take on the role of Jacob Diaz, an amnesiac who has the titular neural implant embedded within his brain. In the futuristic desert city of Red Rock, Jacob Diaz must navigate political conflict, constant danger, and the secrets of his own past. Game Rant spoke to Mind's Eye director Leslie Benzies about the game's setting of Red Rock City, its portrayal of the relationship between humanity and technology, its vehicle and drone gameplay, and more. Benzies, who previously worked on the Grand Theft Auto series, described Mind's Eye as an optimistic look at how humanity and technology could potentially coexist in a near-future Americana setting. He also discussed the inclusion of the Arcadia system, which lets players craft their own missions and levels and build a Rocket Boy's plans for the future. This transcript has been edited for clarity and brevity. So as we get closer, a lucky Nintendo Switch 2 fan has managed to get their hands on a copy of Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma for the new system, despite the hardware and game not releasing until June 5th. The highly anticipated console has begun popping up in the wild ahead of its launch, and Switch 2 fever is reaching a high point in the lead-up to the system's release next week. As the community tries desperately to get their hands on Nintendo's next hybrid console, more information about the system and its launch titles has begun to surface. Current reports indicate that the Switch 2 will feature 24 games on release day, including the first-party juggernaut Mario Kart World and many coveted third-party ports, including Cyberpunk 2077, Ultimate Edition, Sonic X Shadow Generations, Hogwarts Legacy, and Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. Curiously, while the console won't appear on store shelves for over a week, one fan already seemingly has a Switch 2 game in their possession. In a new Reddit post, user Mr. Evans78 shared images of their fresh copy of Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma for the Nintendo Switch 2. The updated version of the popular RPG is slated to release on June 5th, the same day as the console. In the comments, the fan also explained that the box contained a cartridge and no download code, and when putting Rune Factory in the Nintendo Switch Lite, the game launched perfectly with no updates needed. Additionally, Mr. Evans78 also indicated that the game box is the same size as a Nintendo Switch 1 game box. Some fans have concerns about the new console, namely the Switch 2's compatibility issues with the Switch 1. This week, Nintendo published a list of 40 games and 6 apps that currently lack support on the company's new hardware, though many of these will likely be updated at launch or at a later date. Most frustrating to many fans is the current lack of support for Doom Eternal, a game that many cite as one of the best FPS games on the original Switch. While this particular gamer managed to snag a game for the upcoming console, another fan recently snagged a Nintendo Switch 2 early. Although they quickly took to the internet to share their spoils, the console itself turned out to be nothing more than an expensive paperweight at this point in time, requiring a June 5th update to function.
Aight, fellas, and ladies too, we see y'all. That's a wrap for the Bro Code podcast today. It's your boy, Terry Lester, signing off with mad love and respect for everyone rocking with us on this May 29th, 2025. We kept it raw, we kept it real, and as always, we held it down for the culture. If you felt that vibe today, do your boy a favor. Like it, share it, tell your cousins, your crew, your situationships. Everybody needs a tap in. Don't forget, Bro Code ain't just talk, it's a lifestyle. Loyalty, respect, hustle, that's what we stand on. And if you out there grinding, keep pushing, keep your circle tight, and never fold on your purpose. We back next week with more heat, more guests, more laughs, and way more truth bombs. So until then, stay solid, stay woke, and remember, real ones move different. Catch y'all next time on the Bro Code podcast, where real ones speak and the game listens. Peace, love, and loud mics. I'm out.